right, folks, we're going to get started here with our Knox Makers show and share. We got some new people tonight. Who's here for their very first time? All right, well, welcome. This is our Tuesday night show and share that we do every single week. It is our chance to show what people have made, what they're working on, what they're stuck on, and what they failed at. We welcome all types of projects. And so, yeah, it's just a good opportunity to see what other members are doing and learn something for yourself. So we're going to get started tonight with Neil, who is going to show something he says is not a lightsaber.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize. The marketers didn't get me the copy until late this afternoon, so I'm going to be reading a little bit more, be a little less impromptu. So originally I said I was not going to make a lightsaber, and this is not a lightsaber, although under certain circumstances it has been considered to be a lifesaver. This is, let me get out of here. This is a C3PO no plunger. It is made with genuine brass plumbing pieces that have been kicking around my workshop for at least 10 years. The shaft is genuine Krylon base spray paint over wood. And this part down here is, I don't know what it is, but it's not genuine rubber. The finial is made in its namesake, C3P, oh no. And just to know, this plunger will come in handy the next time you invite Chewbacca over for the weekend to binge watch all 9 Star Wars episodes. This plunger, you just know when you break for the night and he takes a shower, your drain will be have one massive clog of hair in it. And if before he got to your house, Chewie stopped for lunch at Jabba the Hutt's sail barge, you won't even want to imagine what's keeping your toilet from flushing. You're going to need a plunger. Not any ordinary plunger, but one that is ergonomically designed to be easy enough to use with one hand solo. I didn't write this. The C3PO no plunger, it isn't a lightsaber, but it is also a light. So, any questions before I move on and talk about updating the lightsaber challenge? Yes? Longer than it should have. Okay. Any other questions? Yes? Yeah. And I'm going to pass this around for everybody, and I will, in full disclosure, let you know that only a brand new plunger was used to make this. It has not seen service yet, so do not fear handling it. So next week, 1 week from tonight, we're going to have the check-ins for the lightsabers. I'll be setting up at 6 o'clock to check in the lightsabers and take pictures of them. Sue and I are going to be working on a poll that will go on Mattermost, so members will be able to vote for their favorite lightsaber. There will be a picture there. Each lightsaber, when it's checked in, will get tagged with a number for identifying. That night, invite all your friends, family, neighbors, or whoever over, because we're going to have a ballot box that they can also put ballots in the box to vote for their favorite lightsaber that they'll be able to see in person that night. And that ballot box will continue on to the Makers Market, where the public will be invited to also vote on the lightsabers, which will be on display. And then on May 7th, show and share, we will announce who the winner is. So, and let's see, wood turning classes. We have a 202 coming up on the 30th, I think it was. Yeah, I think, no, on the 1st, on May 1st, but it's all sold out already. The next 102 class will be sometime towards the end of May. So keep an eye on the calendar. If you haven't gotten any of those classes, you want to be authorized for working on the lathes. Last chance for a question? All right, I'll start passing this around.
Thank you for that pun-filled show. All right, coming up next, Keith is going to show something completely cultivated by death metal.
Yeah, so this is something I've been working on lately. I've been doing a lot of like vases. Like I work in the bicycle industry, so I have tons of access to sprockets. But I like the idea of the vase and then suspending things above the vase, which is awesome with making flowers. But I've done, I think, 3 or 4 things now where I've tried to use that same kind of build process, but do something completely different. And I'd watched the movie, I think it was The Conjuring, where there's a room full of kind of haunted artifacts that they've kind of become in possession of by exorcising people's houses. And I was kind of vibing off of wanting something that might be in the background on a shelf in that room, you know, with so I've had some like kind of cool pieces of oak that had some kind of neat, almost like rot to them, and this like kind of neat piece of oak burl that was up top, and just kind of turned some stuff down on the lathe and kind of came up with this, and just was trying to listen to the most brutal death metal whilst creating it from start to finish, just to try to really like feel it, you know, kind of send me in a direction that turned out kind of cool. It's one of the favorite things that I've made so far. I'm like almost threatening to keep it, but it'll probably go on the pile of inventory with the rest of the lot. But yeah, that's kind of just about it. Was there any questions at all? Yes, sir. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it's Cocobolo on the bottom and then like oak on top with like some like I think it's an earring, like some vintage jewelry that's set in the middle, kind of look like an eye. And I burned away a bit of the material there to try to kind of give it, yeah, kind of an eye vibe a little bit. And this goes, yes. And then like, for the kind of wings, those are cut up pieces of bicycle disc rotor, kind of braided aluminum wire. I'm not sure what the brass fitting on top was from originally. I come into work and mechanic friends of mine find random things in their house and come across things, and there's usually a pile of things on my toolbox after a few days' time, so that's where that kind of orientated from. And then this was also a disc brake rotor on the bottom that I just cut sections of in between the spider, which is kind of the fingers of it, and then bent them up opposing to try to give it almost like a goblet type vibe. And then, grouping of a cassette, and then a rear bicycle hub shell body is kind of like that little space in the middle. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
The base, is that sprockets?
It is, yeah. So this is all riveted together. And then I usually just run like a super long like wood screw right up the middle of it to kind of like cinch everything together. And the hub shell already has the bolt pattern for like the rotor, so I just bolted right to it. But yeah, those are, this like, imagine like your 7, 8, 9, 10 speed bicycle, that grouping of gears on the back. That's just the cluster of that, which I do have many of if anyone is ever in need of for their projects. I have pails, just 5-gallon buckets everywhere of clean bicycle components. So certainly reach out if you got something that might, that might lend to a cool aesthetic too. Awesome. Anyone else? Oh, well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you for that. Next up, Rob is going to show gate/pick art.
How's everyone doing this evening? This is my first time up here with a show and share, so I'm kind of excited about it. I have a few different projects that I've had going on. I've had a chance to talk with some of you in the shop, which has been very helpful and informative. So what I'm going to show you, this is Fred here, and Fred is over 150 years old. Unfortunately, I just got tired of counting. Let's see here, where's the zoom? Well, the plus. As you can see, I'm not too good with the technology. I'm worse than my father. So yeah, I had an arborist come out, and they were telling me that it had some kind of a fungus and it had to come down because it was going to take out the house. Well, that sucked. So I, wound up having to take it down, and not only me, but the tree was crying when it happened. So, it was a sad moment for both of us. To give you a little perspective on it, that's my leg there, it's pretty sizable. And there's just another one. Like I said, that guy was at least 150. So I had to go out and get myself a 24-inch and an 18-inch bar chainsaw because I was not going to just go and throw it out at the road and have them take it away, because that would have just, see if I can take it, would have just been absolutely heartbreaking. So I went ahead and took I forget what that tool is called, but boned the edges of it off, so basically it wouldn't start to rot underneath. And with the chainsaws, I wound up cutting it into planks, and it takes about 2 years per inch for it to dry. So this has been going on for some time. Then maybe last week or so, I brought some of these in. Actually, yeah, you can see the shop here, and started planing it and milling them down, trying to get like a nice edge on them where it would be ready to work. And I really wish you'd see it better, but as you can see, it's finally starting to take a little bit of shape, and I'm looking forward to getting it out on the table saw and the planer. There's a good one, of where I'll be able to then split it and make it into 2 inch wide sections with 6 inches. And basically what's going to happen with it is this is the first rendition of the gate that I was going to build. This was just kind of drawn at things that are coming out of my mind. I was like, well, you know, maybe. Then kind of decided to bring it in a little bit more and came up with this, but I was like looking a little bit too, not enough sturdiness down on the joints and things like that, worrying that it was gonna basically collapse on itself. So I finally spent a good bit of time and got the final design here, and this is a half inch to scale, so for every half an inch is gonna equal 1 foot. And with the joints here and here are going to be through mortise and tenons for support. And then each one of the doors here is going to have a rabbet going through and the floating door. So basically we'll have room to expand and contract throughout the weather. And hopefully going to get with somebody in the blacksmith shop, because I want to custom make some hinges that I'll be able to hold it, because if my math is right, each one of these doors should be about 500 pounds, give or take. And it'll be sunk into the ground with a 8x8 with 4 foot into the ground. So if all goes to plan, that's what Fred is going to turn into, and hopefully he'll be a nice centerpiece to the yard. And what started Fred, and this is hopefully somebody here tonight will be able to guide me along and help a little bit. I've been working in the yard and putting in a fence that I've been slowly working on. And you can see this part where I've got some flowers and stuff. But here is where I've got a bunch of low ground bushes, and I'm going to start putting in some art. Here's a piece that I basically made is a proof of concept. This was a canvas print that I've had outside hanging on the fence now for about 6 months. I went and used a 2-part polyurethane on it because I wanted to see how much it was going to fade, how much it was crack, or if it was even going to hold up to the elements, and it has. So now I'm ready to move on to the next phase with hopefully someone knows how to use the large format printer, because I climb up to Klingman's Dome and Mount LeConte, and I have some wonderful pictures up there, and I'd like to go ahead and do some 24 by 36s and so forth, print them on up, and then custom make a frame, epoxy them, and then use the laser cutter and do, like a Mount LeConte, Klingman's Dome, and mount it underneath with basically some LED solars, so at the night it kind of reflects it and lights them up, and then during the day, I can have some nice art outside that I can enjoy. And that's my little presentation. Is there any questions or anything like this I can answer for anybody? Yes, sir.
The print that you did, you said it was
Wait, this?
no, the picture.
Oh, yes.
Two coats of
Yes, this was the 2-part mix epoxy. Yes. And this right, I did actually wind up though using 2 coats on it, because one of the things I learned is because that was the canvas, it wanted to sag a little bit, so I had to put a support beam down the center, let that dry, and then apply the second coat. And then it has been solid and hasn't faded or got any mold or fungus in it. So far I've been pleased with it. Yes. Honestly, I got this at a garage sale, so I didn't want to go too much on it, but Nah, they didn't sign it, but I've had that around forever and finally decided to do something with it. Yes. I do not. I had some of the epoxy that I had laying around the shop. So when I actually do go to apply one for this project, I will make sure one is UV proof, but with whatever I've had, it hasn't faded or yellowed. I do expect over sometimes some yellowing, but again, it's some nice outside art, but I still want it to look sharp. All right. Anyone else? Or again, if anyone knows how to use the format printer, please find me. Thank you. It was nice talking with you all.
And thank you for that. Last name I have on my list right now is Wes, who is going to show some tea lights.
Hello. So, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to make some tea lights. This is through some reclaimed pine that I have. I ran this through my laser cutter engraver at home. Now the two boards are separate because that's how they went in, but they actually work super glued together. And then after they came out of the laser engraver, they just came right apart. So the smoke or heat in there pulled it apart, unfortunately. So lesson learned, do not super glue it. Just use the correct wood glue the first time on it. So I am pleased though that the laser engraver did actually cut all the curves out correctly and stuff like that. It is salvageable, I think, to super glue it and stuff like that. But yeah, lesson learned. Use the right glue the first time for it. So, any questions? Cool. Thank you.
All right. That's the last name I had on my list. Did anybody else have anything to show before we wrap up tonight? All right. So we have a couple announcements and then some upcoming events. So as far as events, this Thursday, the 25th at 7, we will have a new members onboarding. New members onboarding is required for anybody who wishes to become a member. If you're a trial member or just want to learn more about Knox Makers, you should attend that. It's a good way to just learn about Knox Makers as an organization and who we are and why we do what we do. So that'll be this Thursday at 7. The Moonraker 101 class that is on the 4th, next Saturday at 10 a.m. that still has some tickets available. So if you want to get authorized on the laser cutter, there are tickets available for that. And then we are less than 2 weeks out from our Spring Maker Market. So that is coming up on the 5th from noon to 5. And that's going to be a big event. We still need volunteers to help out with stuff. If you are interested in helping out on the day, you can talk to Aliki in the corner there. Or we have a volunteers channel on the Mattermost chat server, so you can go on there and find out what needs help, because it's going to be a big production and we need all the hands we can get. So, and even if you're not going to help out that day, please just come on out. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have lots of vendors, food trucks, demos, and then the main event of or the at least the fun thing is going to be the Kill Switch demo fights that we're going to be having. So we've been having some cardboard robot classes, and people have been making their fighting bots, and you might see some examples out there on the table up in the front near the garage door there. And so yeah, we're going to be doing some fights in the arena. Some notes about that, some announcements. One is that the arena needs some finishing touches and some little assembly things. So if you are interested in helping finish up sort of the decoration and aesthetics of the trailer, you can see Tracy Baker right down there. Yeah, and we're going to get organized to help get that over the finish line. And then also, if you do have a Kill Switch bot and you are going to be charging at the charging station up there in the front, you must stay with your bot while it is charging. Do not walk away from a charging lithium battery. So that is the announcement for that. Other than that, if you see a garbage can with some trash in it that hasn't been taken out, or an air filter that looks dirty and needs changing, be a dear and change them. And other than that, we're going to open up the workshop and have a good time. And thank you for coming out.